This is where we left in a previous video by initiating what is called payment intent. Now, let's go ahead and then verify the payment to make sure that indeed the payment was okay. So how are we going to do it? Before we continue, let's visit our Stripe dashboard. Over here, anytime you make use of the payment intent, you're going to see the log inside our Stripe dashboard. Over here, let's click on the logs. And as you can see, this is what we made, and it was okay with this status code. And then it is called payment intent. And this is the response body that was sent. Now the last part is that we want the user to enter his credit card to confirm this payment intent. This means that the user has made an attempt to make the payment. At the moment, we don't have the front end to enter the credit card. So at this point, we assume that the payment was okay. So we have to confirm indeed if it is okay. This is where we are going to create one more controller called verify. So let me close these opening tabs and let's work on the Stripe payment controller. And this is for the payment, which is this. And the next one is going to be the verify. So here as verify, and the callback function as async handler, async, rec, and response. And here we go. Let's look at the steps. Step number 1 is get the payment ID. Next step is that we have to confirm. In case it was successful, then we will go ahead and then update the user details. So here inside, we are going to get the, remember in the payment intent, over here, we passed in this metadata. That is the user ID, and then the user email, and then the subscription ID. So here, we don't even need the user email. All what we need is the user ID. So for this, let me remove it and then remove this one. Awesome. So we are going to access this one in the verify. So the next step is that we are going to find the user who made the payment so that we can update his account. And after getting the user, we are going to get the payment details. And next step is that we are going to create payment history. And next step is we have to update. And last step is that we have to send. So here we are going to get the payment ID from the params. So I'm going to destructure from the rec.params. And here is the payment ID. And here we are going to use the Stripe method to retrieve the payment. So I will say that const payment intent, which is equal to await Stripe dot payment intent. On that, we have a method called retrieve, and then pass in the payment ID. Before we continue, let's log the payment intent. Supposed to be the payment intent. So let's mount this controller on the Stripe payment route, and let me uncomment this, and I will say that verify payment. And here I'm going to provide the colon payment ID. This is what we call the params. So let me change this one to Stripe payment controller dot verify. So let's go ahead and then try out. let me remove these guys and duplicate, change this one to verify, and then the endpoint here is going to be verify / the payment ID, which is this. Copy that, and it's get method and / that and send. Route not found on the server. So let's see. Oh, supposed to be the verify here, and then / the payment ID. Well, it says that you passed a string that looks like a client secret as a payment ID. I think we have to use the right payment ID. So here we are using the client secret. Okay, so let's get into the payment intent. So here, the payment itself. So let's log the entire of the payment intent. And then let's see. Let me hit send. And let's look at the payment ID. Yeah, this one. Supposed to be this. This is what we call the payment ID. Bottom my side. Yeah. So now let's pass that to verify. And now let's check our terminal. And now we have the payment. So let's confirm if indeed it was okay. Now let's begin at this place. Have you seen we got the amount? The amounts are in cents. So on the front end, we are going to divide by 100. So it means that this is $80. And then we have the currency and other properties. And down here, we have the metadata, which is this. Have you seen the additional payload that we passed upon making the payment? And now we can access it in the verification controller to update the user. So let's continue. All right, so over here, we're gonna say that if payment intent, on that we have what is called status. If it is equal to success, then we know that the payment was successful. By the moment, we don't have the success. Why is it so? Simply because the user have not entered his credit card. This is called payment intent. But since we haven't connected the front end, we are assuming that the payment was okay. Because of that, this block will not work. So let's change this one to if it is not success. But after we finish connecting to the front end for payment, we will use the triple equal to. At the moment, let's use this. So in here, we are going to get the metadata. So here, bring it here, supposed to be here instead. And we have the const metadata is equal to payment intent dot metadata. If you check in the console, you're going to see this. And then the subscription ID as this, which is equal to the metadata dot subscription ID. And then the user ID as const user ID is equal to the metadata dot user ID. All right, we are done with that. Next step is that let's find the user. Remember, we have the user ID here. So it's going to be as const user found is equal to await user model. I think I have to resave the model for the user, and as that, supposed to be this. All right, and find by ID, and the ID is the user ID. So in case we don't have the user, then we will say that res supposed to be returned. Instead, return res.json, then message is going to be user not found. Then we have to get the payment details. If you check in the console, you're going to see payment.amount. I think it is gone. Yeah. So here we want to get the actual amount as I have showed you. So I will say amount is equal to payment intent.amount. Remember, this is in cents. So here we have to get the actual price. So here divided by 100. And I want the currency also, which is equal to the payment intent dot currency. So next step is that we have to create the payment history. If you check the model, we have the payment here as the payment history. We want to know who made the payment, the reference, currency, status, and then the ID of the plan, and then the amount. So let's go ahead and then do that. Let me bring this one here side by side and know the properties well. Yeah, so this is the, I think, yeah, this one. Good. So here, let's bring in the payment model, which is this. And we're going to use what is called .create. And let's pass in the properties. We will need the user, and the user can be found as the user ID. Remember, from the metadata, which is this one, this. And then the subscription ID, and we can get it from the metadata as the subscription plan ID. So here as I think I used, yeah, here. So here, let me assign to this. And the next one is going to be the status. So over here, we know that everything is success. So here as success. And then we will need the amount, which is this amount, and then assign to the amount. So for this, I can maintain one as that. So now we are done with that. So next step is that we have to update the user. So after this, let's update the user. Let's assign to a variable as new payment, which is equal to that, and await that. So here, let's check if we have new payment. Then we will go ahead and then update the user. All right. Over here, we want to change has plan to true in the user model. So over here, we have the plan. So here we can update the plan here also. And then the has plan or has selected a plan. Yeah, this one. So here we have the user here as user found. So it's going to be as user found dot has selected a plan, and we will say true. And then also user found dot the plan. Yeah, the plan. Let me check. We used lowercase plan, supposed to be plan lowercase p. Yeah, sorry. So here as plan for lowercase is equal to the subscription plan ID. Awesome. And let's await or resave the user as await user found dot save, and let's send the response as that. and here is going to be as res.json, and then status is true, then the message payment verified, user updated, and then let's send the user as user found. And that is it, guys. That is it. And the currency for the payment, yeah, so here currency, I think we didn't specify on the payment model for the currency. Yeah, we have it. Yeah, so we are good to go. All right, let's go ahead and then send the request. So before we do that, let's check on the front end. If I go to dashboard, as you can see, this user don't have a plan. All right, so let's trigger it on the back end, and let's see where it says that reference path is required on the payment. So we have to pass in the reference and then assign to the payment ID. Yeah, so now let's try, and there we go. Let's check on the has plan, which is this. Let me see the user. The user is Masintech. So now if I log in, have you seen that it is gone? That is the power of React query. It does what is called background fetching. As soon as the application got focused, the data has updated, because on the backend we have some data that has changed. In this case, the login user. That is why we see it as being gone. All right, but if I log in with different account, let me log in with this account. As you can see, we have this warning, which means that this user don't have any plan being selected. Now the backend logic is complete. What has left is to do it on the front end for the user to enter his credit card. Let's continue in the next video.